Howdy, folks. Welcome back to Viva La Cats, another weekly episode. We are in week 2 now of the Bearcats season after they have started off with a resounding 1-0. Maybe not resounding, but it is a week 1 dub. So we'll unpack all of that. But first things first, let's remind you that we are a Ten12 Network podcast representing the Cincinnati Bearcats. Myself, Justin Hiles, accompanied by my great friend Steve Maurer. We are bringing you that coverage every single week, so make sure to check out our TikTok, our YouTube, our Spotify, our Apple Podcasts, our everything, our Instagram. It doesn't matter. Check it all out. Make sure you're following with us. This will be Steve's last week before he takes a brief hiatus throughout the middle of the season here. Should be back closer to the end of October as he has some real life things going on. So we will let him unpack what he needs to for that. But without further ado, Steve.
Don't worry, everyone. I'm just getting married. There's nothing like really too serious happening, So, but thank you, Justin.
Too serious. Yeah. It's serious, Steve.
No. I'm sorry. Yes, nothing life threatening. How about that? I'm sad to be heading off for a little bit, but I won't be gone for too long. And before anyone gets mad, our wedding is on a Friday. Justin can attest to this. It is on a Friday. It is not on a Saturday, and it's on UC's bye week too. So. I really didn't want to hear anyone complaining, one, because it's my only wedding day. Hold me to that, Justin. And just kidding. And two, it's a Friday. I checked the slate, and there's not really any good games. I think Stanford's playing that night. So I think you guys can skip a Stanford home game. So I think we're all right.
We'll make it through. Steve, thank you for doing all of your wedding guests an absolute favor and not having them choose between the Bearcats and you, because we all know who wins at the end of the day. No, just kidding. Very excited for that. Very happy for Steve. So we are going to be glad to have him back once he is ready. But until then, we will have a few people probably doing a little siesta on Viva La Cats, enjoying a little fall breeze as we get a few new faces in, few old faces perhaps as well. We'll see how all that rocks out. But until then, speaking of rocking out with their Johnson's out, Bearcats offense. Very exciting, very fun to start the season. New transfers into the team. Really lighting it up, making it a lot of fun to watch for the offensive side of the ball. Defensive side of the ball. Little bit of scary hours, but I think it should be manageable. Steve, there's a ton to unpack from this first game. Of course, we did a little bit of it on our spaces that we do post game. So if you haven't checked that out, make sure to head over to our Twitter and figure that out. Still working on getting the spaces downloaded. It is probably the most annoying thing if you haven't tried to do it before to actually get that file. Impossible. Elon really wants you to keep it on Twitter. So with that said, Steve, what is your biggest takeaway from this game that makes you feel good about the Bearcats?
Yeah, I mean, I really liked what Brendan Sorsby did on Saturday. He was making the throws, man, making the throws. I like to say that when I'm not BSing you. I liked what I saw, man. He was making good throws. We talked about, Justin, how he doesn't really have to do much if we want to get to 7 wins, he can just be a game manager. But I was pretty impressed by, mid-level throws he was making. He was catching Joe Royer. I like that said in his press conference, we're going to keep feeding the damn ball to Joe Royer. I was like, yeah, let's do it. He's hurdling dudes left and right. I love it. I think the other thing too, Justin, was that I enjoyed seeing, kind of like some of the pace and space of the running backs a little bit. Like Evan Pryor didn't really have any carries in the first half, and then first carry in the second half just goes 64 yards and a touchdown, I was nice to see. Corey Kiner, was getting some good push up there. And then Chance Williams got a couple reps here and there as well. But offense was pretty much what I liked. I mean, again, an FCS opponent, but still you hit the 200 and 200 rushing and passing yards, 685 total yards. FCS defense, I get it. You fumbled 2 times, or you got down to the red zone twice, and you fumbled once, and then the other time you just knelt the ball to end the game. But that's kind of what we were expecting. Maybe if you were like Justin and I, and you were holding a Bearcats minus 30.5 ticket, you were hoping for a couple more points on the board, But I liked what I saw. And we could talk about our overreactions later on. I kind of have some funny ideas for it. But Justin, man, Brendan Sorsby looks to be the real deal.
Yeah, absolutely. I was honestly kind of surprised. Granted, it was a little bit of a tighter game than I think most of us had hoped for or expected. Was surprised to see that he was the only QB in this game who actually, I think, got any reps. He was out there pretty much the entire time. I don't believe Lichty came in at all.
Lichty got in right at the end. I don't know. I'll look at the stat line. I don't know if he threw any balls.
He might have just been handing it off, I think. But with that said, if there's anything to take away from this game as far as the quarterback goes, last year, Emory Jones threw for like 340 some yards, 5 touchdowns, crazy game. We'll get to more overreactions, of course, but 380 yards out the gate for Brendan Sorsby as a sophomore transfer quarterback. I think that's huge. Again, it's an FCS opponent, but really showing out early. Had a great completion clip. Honestly, making some, like you said, some really solid throws. I loved his mobility. He looked like he was able, and this is the biggest takeaway for me, is watching him look downfield. You're seeing him find that guy in the gap. You're seeing him find some kind of opening, but always still finding a way to evade the guys in front of him, which I think is huge. That's gonna get tougher.
Can you relay your tweet that you quoted, like in like the first quarter on Saturday? What you said after what was the stark difference for UC fans after last year?
Yeah, I gotta go back and find the exact one. Hold on 1 second.
Because folks, it was good, and I saw every now and then, Justin and I will talk about what we're sending, but Justin, he just tweeted that one, and I was like, oh, that's good. That was pretty good. I like that one.
Honestly, I'm not even sure. I'm not sure which one you're gonna have to fill me in because
it was it was a quote tweet of the Bearcat Journal. Shout out Dave. His tweet of UC's quarterback just made 3 reads and hit the third guy. Yeah, and you were like something about how college football fans don't know how much of a welcome surprise that is to us.
Yeah.
Because let's just say Emory was a single read quarterback. You knew where it was going first look, and that was nice to actually improvise a little bit. And again, Towson, FCS opponent, but was able to run the ball a little bit. I think that was kind of a thought that maybe some people had, was that maybe he's not completely mobile, but it is nice to know he's not going to be taking his own read options every now and then, but he's at least got the ability to, if he needs to, looks like he can move out of the pocket, or he can take the run up the the quarterback sneak up the gut for a touchdown. So I think there was a couple good things I saw from him. By the way, Lichty did not get any passes.
So
that's what sorry, Lichty. But overall, I have to say, a pretty good game for the offense. And 275 yards rushing, 383 yards passing, all from your man Brendan Sorsby, number 2. So one side of the ball, pretty good.
For my fellow non-mathers, that's 658 total yards of offense, which is quite a lot. I think
only the 10th most in school history somehow.
Yeah, but
I don't know how that's the case. But
I believe that's also top 10 this week for college football as far as offensive output. So that's great to see as well. Again, there's a ton of teams that play FCS opponents, and they don't all do that. So clearly Sat's offensive game plan is effective and is working. We're going to see how that translates over to this week. But before we get to that, let's just do a quick little unpack too of the defensive side of the ball. So again, offense, I think, looked great. A ton of pieces working really well there. However, the Bearcats did manage to let up 20 points in this game, which is a bit more than I think everybody hoped for. There certainly were some weak spots. I think we got burned in a couple plays. And it's not all doom and gloom. I don't think it's going to be a super, super bad situation, as everybody would love to do and say after week 1. But it is something to keep your eye on. And that accompanied with some of the special teams flunks the first game of the year. There's definitely some rust to work off after the offseason. Steve, when it comes to the defensive side of the ball, I guess what would be the thing that made you feel confident, and what would be the thing that worries you the most going forward?
Yeah, so obviously week one of a new defense, like there's going to be some growing pains for sure. Every now and then, you're going to have to figure that out. Some missed assignments here and there. It was really not that bad in the first half, where the only thing that we missed on was it was like a 75-yard run, pitch and catch up the middle, which is on a slant route in the middle, not great. I think the safety was caught cheating down a little bit more than you'd want. So, and then I think the other thing that people, were taking away was that there were just not many sacks. Again, I did not really go back and watch the film, but it did feel like it was a concerted effort by Towson to like kind of make sure that they were getting the ball out quick, because that's kind of the only way you can really like try and score points when you're just completely overmatched like that. But again, I understand why people are worried. Like, you saw how bad this defense was last year, and then we're giving up 20 points and almost 300 yards and a half to Towson, and it's just like, well, not great. But I think the other thing though is like 20 points. Hopefully, if your offense can score 24 to 28 in the game, then you feel pretty good about that. If your defense can hold to 20 points. We got somebody coming back this week, which I want to dedicate a whole segment to later, as you can see. So, oh wait, no, you don't have that on. My bad.
We'll jump into it in the next segment, so we'll cover that for sure.
Sorry about that. I did not come very. For the audio only listeners, is why you got to watch the show, because I looked down and then made an ass of myself. So just what happens on this when you're recording something. So I don't, I definitely understand why people are worried, right? It's just like you're going to do this against the FCS defense, and then people are just going to be, upset. But I was talking with our friend Dolly Drama, and it's like, this is kind of just what people do. Like, they find like the tiny things to nitpick and really like making it bigger deals. And I do wonder if maybe Pitt will try to identify some of that. But I think week one was always going to be just a different test, especially when you've got a defense. And our buddy Rob said on the post-game spaces the other day that, it was just a thought that you'd like for the defense to be ahead of the offense at this point in time. I do think we have a little bit of youth on the defense. Jaquan Sanks, first true freshman to start at UC since Marquise Copeland in 2015, and he was making some plays, man. I was pretty impressed with him. I even heard Marquez Parker, another freshman, was out there making some plays as well. Like, it's the thing we talked about last week, where the two deep, there's a few young guys on there, and especially on the defensive side, there's a couple of young guys on there. But
like I said, glass half full, there are upsides to that.
Yeah.
And it can be a good thing.
For sure. Yeah. And I don't really think that it's like, maybe hopefully you're hiding something, or you're not really trying to like show all your blitz packages in week one, things like that. You would hope maybe that they would be able to get home more often. But when you've only got 3 down linemen in the scheme that you're running, and you're dropping 8 or you drop 7 and maybe keep one guy home as a spy, then it's kind of just, you're playing a lot of zone. Maybe you're not getting as much push, but maybe if someone were able to play on Saturday, you never know.
Steve, this will be my final point, and we'll blow that next conversation up. I think this is the thing that I noticed the most on the defensive side of the ball, is that without a certain person creating a lot of pressure in the way that he does, in the way that only he can do, it feels like there is something missing there. And that, I think, is the Godfather himself, Dante Corleone, who is back this week for the Pitt game. Super excited about that. Again, I think this is the thing that just felt the one keystone piece from the defense that felt really missing. It's almost like it feels like they've ran the entire offseason with him, and then you get into the game and it's just like, oh, we're used to seeing this guy and he's not there. And so I think with having him back in there, he's just kind of that distraction guy. I mean, he's so good that he creates his own plays, of course, and he does a fantastic job. But because of how good he is, he draws so much attention from an offense and really has to make the QB shift in the way that they view the field because you never know when he's going to be right there. And he always is. So having to keep an eye on Dante Corleone, I think, is really going to make the rest of the field a little bit tighter and make some things a lot more interesting. And get some more QB pressures that felt a little bit lacking this past week. Because I think that just gap without him is a little bit undersized and maybe just doesn't create as much pressure for the backfield there. But with that said, on to this week 2, the big news of today. Dante Corleone is officially back in the lineup after many months of worry of whether or not we'd actually get to see him at all this season. Getting to see him in week 2, healthy, ready to go, back on the field. Blood clots gone, hopefully altogether, and maybe not a non-issue, but something that's very manageable throughout the rest of the season. Should hopefully be here for the Bearcats for the rest of the year. Feel really good about that. I think that really increases our odds against Pittsburgh. Of course, these guys are going to give us their all for sure, but having Dante back there, I think, just makes everybody feel like they can at least feel like the game's a bit more evenly matched. I think without him in there, you'd be really concerned about this defense. But with him back there, it just breath of fresh air for sure.
Yeah, definitely. The Godfather, he's back. And you even saw noted Pitt fan Alex Kirshner. We talk a lot about split zone duo on this show. I have noticed that. But he did tweet today about how the Godfather was back, and I wanted to say something like, yes, sir, right in time for Pitt. But
yeah,
Alex is more of a Maryland fan these days. He's not really on Pitt as much. So
bandwagoner.
But I mean, and like even Coach Pat Narduzzi said yesterday that they were preparing as if he was going to play, which people took to think that he knew something that UC didn't, or that UC wasn't letting on. But just from a coaching standpoint, like you got to prepare your players, your team to expect that the best guys are going to be out there, especially like a guy like that who obviously didn't play last week. So I think you're right, Justin. Like I think he draws a lot of attention, and then maybe if you show some of those blitz packages that you were holding back against Towson, you can get Pitt off the field more often, or you can cause pressure, get in that backfield, and make them make mistakes. We did lose the turnover battle on Saturday. No interceptions, only one fumble recovery. So maybe you'd like to see a little bit more ball hawking on Saturday, but this upcoming Saturday, and I think Dante can only help with that too.
Yep. I think that's a huge difference and big time game maker there. That just allows everything to sort of gel and mesh in the way that, like I said, there's just that one keystone piece that just feels like it's missing. And it really can just be one position that will really turn key for that entire defense. I'm really excited about it. I think for this week, we'll of course get into some of our picks that we've got, but this is the one thing I think that concerns me the most is that I said this on our friend Clint Foster's show that we did live with him tonight. The thing that worries me is that Pitt does not have a man of molasses anymore. They do not have Jerkovich as the QB anymore. They do not have a slow, old, like you said, late stage Ben Roethlisberger at quarterback. They have somebody who is capable. Holstein looks pretty solid. He played really well against Pitt. 3 touchdowns, 333 yards, really clean across the boards, looked solid. And I think between that and their new rushing game with some of their new guys that they got on the field, it's going to be a lot different of a look from last year. But I think the same goes for the Bearcats. I don't think that they're going to be suffering from some of the same, problems that may have ailed them last year. I think if anything, this, I said actually on their show that this might be a little bit of a punt battle. If anything, it could be the opposite. I would think this is the game where the defenses really crack down, and this would be a classic sort of River City rivalry sort of game. But I really do think that they can start to show out and put up some points because both of these teams have a lot of offensive talent that really wants to shine. And at some point, I think that, you're just going to see a lot of deep ball action. You're going to see a lot of guys making some big plays from both teams. And so I think the difference maker really in this game is going to be your special teams making conversions in some of those margin areas, and as well, just your defense being able to shut down teams on like a 3rd and 5 or 3rd and 2, something like that. Like, you got to be able to make shutdown plays at that point in the game. And so I think the key here is going to be defense, but I think offense is going to be the star of the show.
Yeah, just checking. So I'm checking Bill Connolly's SP Plus right now, and he, for the upcoming week after the first week. Guess who the worst team, by the way, is in all 134 teams by SP Plus rating? It's a team that we both bet against on Friday night.
Houston.
No.
Friday night. Oh, sorry, Colorado.
No. That was Thursday. Friday night.
Friday. God, there's so many games that happen.
Oh my God.
Just tell me.
Temple.
Thank you. Okay.
Yes. Yeah. They bad.
I bet a lot. I bet against a lot of teams this past weekend, so it's hard to keep track.
Yeah, for sure. That's completely fair. And maybe you'll hear about some of that later on. That's what we call a tease in the business, folks. That's more professional. So, but looking at the SP Plus right now, we got Pitt overall number 57 in the rankings, Cincinnati at number 67 in the rankings. Both offenses, Cincinnati is a 59 grade offense, 71 grade defense, and a 72 grade special teams, which might be the reason why Pitt is ranked so highly against them, because they have a 9 rated special teams, a 44th rated defense, and only a 73rd rated offense by SP Plus. So in that sense, I think, and then it just came out today that SP Plus thinks that this is a tie, and they projected a 27-27 game, which is kind of impressive, honestly. Like, I don't think I've really seen that much on SP Plus, and I've been looking at SP Plus for some gambling advice since like 2018. So I am just fairly interested to see where this game goes, Justin. You'd have to hope that maybe Satterfield will have something up his sleeve against Pitt again, because even though it's a new offense, it's the same defense that Pat Narduzzi's been running ever since he got there. And people might forget that Satterfield is now 3-0 in his, or 2-1, or he's won his last 2 games. I mean, in his time playing Pitt as both Louisville and Cincinnati head coach. So you never know. Maybe we got something. So yeah. I am kind of wondering what he's going to have up his sleeve for Saturday, but with Corleone back, and hopefully we can get some of those errors cleaned up from this past week. Like, I think it's going to be a great game, but obviously, where I'm leaning, just because we're at home and we're, playing. We got the Godfather back. Hopefully, a sold out crowd. Nip should be rocking noon on a Saturday, almost fall weather. Like, I'm building myself up for it, baby.
That's the worst part, is we build ourselves up for it and we can't be there. Perks of not living in Cincinnati, or I guess not perks, opposite. Downside of not living in Cincinnati. I don't know why I said perks. I think this is one of those things that it feels like a 50-50 game, and that's where I would give the home advantage. That's where I would give the injection of your most core player, your best player probably on either side of the ball. Give the edge to that team, just being at home that day. I think that's going to be huge for us. Again, you look at Pitt's year last year, you look at our year last year, both 3-9 teams, both massively underperforming their expectations. I think both of us have a chip on our shoulder. But again, this is a very important game. I think Pitt can probably make up some more ground in the Big 12. The Bearcats know that it's going to be freaking hard this year, no matter how easy your strength of schedule is, because we know how tough the Big 12 is already. And I think that they're just going to really want it. And for that reason alone, I would probably give the Bearcats the edge, just because it's going to be a tough one. Steve, we've already kind of tapped on it, so we might as well just go ahead and get to it. We have a new official segment. We started it last week without a name, and now it's officially named. It's officially moving forward throughout the season. You know Viva La Cats. What about Viva La Cash? Show me the money. Show me the money. And then we leave you absolutely embarrassed by not saying anything when it's your turn. Hashtag TikTok memes. Memer. Steve, Viva La Cash. This segment, what we're doing throughout the rest of the season, which of course Steve will not be here for like the next 6 weeks for, but that's besides the point. Our fill-ins will do just great. We are taking the Bearcats spread, the Bearcats game total, the money line for said game. We are going to give you at least each week 2 bets, our We Ride horse emoji bets games of the week, as well as our Electric Factory game of the week, the most exciting one that we see on the schedule for all of college football. And as well, we will tap into some other games in the back half of the show with our Big 12 head-to-head. Another weekly segment, which we are keeping streamlined on the rails forward for the rest of the season. Steve, the Bearcats spread is 2. +2 in the Bearcats' favor. Well, Bearcats under 2. Bearcats are not the dogs, which that's home. That's home advantage, and that also means that home advantage means nothing to them in this game. Usually the only time you see 2 is in that specific case alone. So, Steve, start us off. Bearcats spread. Do they cover?
Justin, can I play my theme music real quick first?
Play it.
Don't want to play too much more because I don't want us to get taken down. So
I think it's like 15 seconds, right?
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. So, okay, here we go. After that little brief prelude, shout out Shane O'Mac. Love you, my boy. I am going to take the Cats -2 money line, lock it up. I feel that it's a home game and you're at Nippert. You got I did not see Holstein play at all, but I really like what we have in Sorsby, and obviously I'm going to lean that way. And I'm just hoping that the defense can really shore itself up. And obviously there's some thought that some teams were saving plays last weekend on offense, but hopefully there's some easy adjustments that Cincinnati can make on defense as well to stop the Pitt attack. So, and also it would be really demoralizing to come into this game after you won it last year and lose it and then have to give Pitt that trophy. And then they say they don't want it or something like that again. Yeah. And also, Justin, I know past precedent and games of 10 years ago do not really matter, especially in this day and age of college football where everything changes within a second, but
week to week, not even year to year anymore.
Yeah. But here's a little nugget for you. Cincinnati has won 5 of its last 6 games against Pitt, and the only game they lost was the end of that 4-8 season in 2010, where the Bearcat got arrested in a blizzard. So I'm not really even counting that one. So
legendary moment, by the way.
Yeah,
absolute legendary moment. How many mascots can you think of that got arrested? Very few.
There's only a couple. Yeah. So I think that's going to get tweeted out.
Be less than 3.
That picture is going to get tweeted out at some point before Saturday.
For sure.
Yeah.
I'd say on my end,
oh, you need a total pick too, don't you? Let me think of that. Well,
we'll get to that in a second. I think I am gonna take. We'll just go to money line here. I'm gonna take the Cats, but because I think this is gonna be an absolute shootout, it is gonna be a barn burner. Bearcats do not cover the spread, but they do win.
Wow.
It is going to be a 1-point game. This is going to be a tight game.
Okay.
The way I see it this week.
Interesting.
I do think it's going to be really interesting, but I think this is going to come down to like fourth quarter, 1 minute left. You're chattering, waiting for this thing to finish, and you're trying to ice it out. And we're going to need another massive, massive tackle from Jack Dingle and the Bearcat boys in the back to get the dub over Pitt this year. Make it 2 in a row. That would feel real good. Steve, game total 63. What are the five?
I'm gonna go under. I don't think our offense is fully there yet, and the only way I see this going over is if Pitt just runs us out of town. So 63 seems like a lot. I do like our offense a lot, but I don't know if we're at the point where we're scoring 5 touchdowns on a P4 defense just yet. So For that, I'm going to say under.
Fair enough. Well, I am taking the opposite side of that. I think it's going to be the over, and only because I think both teams are going to start to play defense real hard in the first half, and then they're just going to get out there and they're going to start throwing the ball a little bit. I want it to be fun. I'm trying to speak it into existence because I want give me the classic Pitt game. Give me the December game, baby. I want that
45, 44.
44. Yeah. Give me that number. Like, that's the type of game I'm looking for here. I want something fun and exciting, so I'm trying to speak it into existence. 1 point.
By the way, Justin, low of 53 on Saturday in Cincinnati. Game time temperature 64 degrees and sunny. Impressive. Sounds like football weather to me. We're not fully at football weather, but when you're below 70s, I think you're almost there. I feel like you got to be under 60 for it to really be football weather, like 40s to 50s, kind of like you got that chill in the air. You see some leaves on the TV broadcast. Like I kind of like it, but it's coming. It's almost there.
It's got to be cold enough that in the shade you wear a jacket, in the sun you're warm, and you might want to take the jacket off, but you got to keep it on because the breeze sucks. That is fall weather, like to a T. It's the perfect mold. Steve, we've got the total, we've got the spread.
Just one more note real quick, Justin. I wanted to note this. So we did not score more than 30 points against a non-FCS team last year. The most we scored against any P4 team, 29 against Baylor, and 27 against BYU and these same Pitt Panthers. So I do like that thought of yours about the over, but I kind of want to see it first, if that makes sense. Like, I kind of want to see them, put the ball through the hoop first.
Exactly. This is the time to do it. It's going to happen, Steve. I'm speaking into existence. I want a shootout. Like I said, give me a barn burner. Give me something fun here.
Okay, let's do it. I'm in.
No more rock fights. We're out of
Don't twist my arm.
Rock fights was for playing in the AAC. Now we're playing just full on. What everybody thinks the Big 12 is: no defense, full offense. We're
trying to play some Cliff Kingsbury Big 12 football.
Yeah. Let's run the Scott Satterfield version of the air raid, which I don't think would be very pretty. Okay, Steve. We ride. Riders. Dog riders. Our We Ride bets of the week. We've got a handful for you. Usually we're going to do 2 at least. We've got a bunch because this is fun. Steve and I had some great gets this past week. Really fun weekend for some little yambling for you degenerates out there. I'm going to go ahead and give my first one. We're going to alternate until we get to the end of this list. We got 4 each. We're going to run through them quick. Classic. Iowa versus Iowa State. Total 35, folks. You have to take the under. Like, this is Iowa and Iowa State. This is an ugly game. This is like a field goal and a touchdown, or like a safety and a field goal and a touchdown type game. There is not much that happens here. The game winner is going to happen in the middle of the third quarter. Take the under.
13-10. I like it. Big fan. So I want to go with my total because I want to save the best for last. Cal versus Auburn, under 53.5. I just don't believe in Cal's offense. I know they've got a good running back, but I don't believe in their offense. I don't believe in them traveling all the way to Auburn. Even though they are a member of the ACC now, they should get used to it. But that first trip cross country for the year, and then they kind of didn't look that great against UC Davis for the first half. They were down at a couple different points. UC Davis is a good FCS team, but Cal's weird to say an ACC team now, so they should be a little bit better than that. And also, I kind of feel like Auburn's just gonna get up by 4 touchdowns or something, and then just kind of put on the brakes. So I see kind of like a 28-10, 35, 35-14 type game here. So that'll get you under right there. So I'm going to stick with under 53.5 in Auburn, Cal.
Very, very good pick there. My next one here, we're going to go for the money line. Money line, baby. We got Nevada, 108. Georgia Southern, I think Nevada has looked pretty good so far,
Oh
as
yeah,
much as we would love to hate them.
much better.
They look solid. They're making a great turnaround. I forget what their like season total was supposed to be. It was like 3 or 4, like low.
It was like 2.5. Like,
Two and a
and
half.
yeah, it was real low. And
They look solid. They gave SMU a run for their money. That was a tight game. They just had a very solid game against Troy. They made you boys some money. I think Nevada is the pick this week against Georgia Southern. I'd be really interested to see how that game turns out. But pretty split game for them. I don't think it's not supposed to be much of a
where is this
difference
game,
there.
Justin? Is this in Reno?
I believe so, yes.
In the
Yep.
Wolf's Den? Yeah, then I like that too. Just because Georgia Southern gave up about 15 miles of rushing yards to Ashton Genty of Boise State this past weekend. And Nevada's got a couple good running backs. I was watching them against SMU. So
Yep. At Nevada.
if you get player props in the state where you live, just consider the rushing props, for the Nevada Wolfpack. So sorry to add on to your pick there, but I agree. I like it.
It's a solid one.
Regulators mount up, brother. We are going to go next to some underdogs here. We're just going to take these guys. Take these guys in the points. First one, I'm going to go with South Carolina, +10 on the road at Kentucky. Personally, because number one, I kind of just don't like UK's football program. They negatively recruit against UC all the time, and I don't like that. And also, I do feel that while they did not look great against Old Dominion, we didn't see a full Kentucky game, and they played Southern Miss and beat them pretty handedly. And the other thing, though, is that South Carolina has won this game 2 years in a row after Kentucky won like 5 straight before that. And these two coaches, Justin, they do not like each other. Shane Beamer and Mark Stoops, they have been jawing at each other in the media for a good 2.5 years now. Games in Lexington. So I think UK can win, but 10 points is a lot for me. So I'm going to take South Carolina +10.
Very nice. Very nice. I got another one. Another little dog action here. Boise covers the 19 at Oregon. Oregon looks very susceptible. Now, week 1 jitters, week 1 overreactions, absolutely. But could Oregon get a little bit of a tight game after they just showed a tight game against Idaho, against the best Mountain West team? A Mountain West team that could very well be your G5 entry at the end of the year in the playoff. I think Boise's got enough juice that they can at least make this a 2-score game. I think that's very doable for them, even on the road. I'd feel pretty good about them. And if you paid attention at all this past week, Boise's running back, you know how many touchdowns he had, Steve?
Yes, Mr. Ashton Genty, he had 6.
6
of them things.
6 tutties. I don't care if you're getting all those at the 1-yard line and you're just pushing it through. That is a high clip to get. Not easy to do at any level of football.
I think their backup running back had 2 as well.
Yeah. Boise was putting it on. But overall, I think they can cover the 19. Like, it's just that's a gimme number, I think, out of so many ones that you could probably prop up. Oregon, of course, is tough. They're great at home, but I think Boise can do that. That should be a no-brainer in my mind.
I like it, and that's a late game too for me. So it'd be about like 7:30 West Coast time, and just be like, oh, I get to end my night with this. So that'd be kind of nice. Oh yes, get the coconuts together like Monty Python,
Come on, Steve.
Okay, regulators. We are going to go with another dog here. We're going to stay in the Big 12. We're going to keep the fence around the Big 12. Colorado on the road in Lincoln, +7.5. We caught some flack from our friends at the Folsom Frenzy podcast. We probably need to have them on before the game. And they're like, why would you root against your conference? That's dumb. And I'm like, I've seen you tweet. I know how you tweet. Like I've seen this account tweet about how everybody hates Colorado, and
it's true.
I don't really have an opinion on Colorado. I think their players are cool. I think they were probably a little bit too hyped up after going 3-0 and then finishing 1-8 last year. After that, I don't hate them, and that's why I'm picking them in this game, Justin. 7.5 is a big number, and Nebraska has a better quarterback in Jalen Raiola this year. They have a better team, probably, but this is the classic letdown spot for Nebraska, where
that's true.
They played really well against a not so great G5 opponent in week 1, and the quarterback looked really good. Everybody's hyping him up, and how fitting would it be, and how much of a big win would it be for the Big 12 for Colorado to go in there and just completely spoil the party? And Jimmy Horn and Shadur, dude, Shadur looks good. I know we've been hating recently, but he looks really good. He looks like an NFL prospect. And then, Travis Hunter, they've got stars on their team, and I don't
Jimmy
really
Horn
know.
Looks good too.
Yeah, and I don't really know if Nebraska has stars like that. They have Dylan Raiola, but they have Colorado has Jordan Seaton too. I don't know if Colorado can win the game, but I feel 7.5 is a lot of points just because of the fact that they have Travis Hunter and Shadur and all those stars that and that they're not really going to be fazed by walking into that environment, because they already had their pants down moment last year against Oregon, where they absolutely got cooked in front of I think once they're past that, and it just Nebraska seems like one of those traditional teams where they get up for a huge moment and then it just all comes crashing down. How many times have they hosted game day against Ohio State or Michigan in the past 6 years, and it just everything falls apart? So
newsflash, Steve has now compared Colorado to Ohio State and Michigan.
They get enough coverage. Maybe they do. Maybe they so
they might as well be. They should be a top 5 team.
Colorado plus 7.5. Justin.
Very nice. Last one here for me. All right. Last one of the week. Tennessee.
Ooh, okay. At the Duke's Mayo Bowl kickoff game.
Duke's Mayo Bowl. Tennessee's going to cover that 8-point spread against NC State. I was not at all impressed with NC State this past week. And Tennessee, of course, they're playing Chattanooga, but they blew them out of the water, quite literally. Made a smudge mark on the pavement with Chattanooga. And so I think that NC State, granted they've got the home advantage, I think Tennessee can absolutely cover that and some. So I feel pretty confident about that one. That one's a pretty nice get at the 8 now. So if you all are looking for something early, I'd probably lock that one in as quick as you can. Steve, give us your last one of the week and we move on.
Justin, this is my blue light discount special. Not even discount. It's a good price for you. ACC teams who are suing the league are 0-3 right now. And the rest of the league only has 3 losses combined. Guess who is playing at home on Saturday after getting their doors blown off this past weekend? Clemson. They are hosting App State in their first game at home after getting their doors blown off against Georgia.
Yes, sir. Give me some of that.
Yes. And so App State, they're everybody knows about them now. They're not the unknown giant killer of the past like they were 20 years ago against Michigan. But Justin, how fitting would it be for a team like Clemson, who are still ranked in the top 25, or much like A&M did a couple of years ago, to just come in, say, okay, we're just going to walk all over you guys, do your midnight yell, and then App State just comes out of nowhere and beats them. Mm-hmm. That would be sweet. And I've noticed, Justin, that we picked a couple dogs here, and it's a plus 800. They're a 17-point underdog on Saturday, but man, I would love nothing more than to see App State go in there and just shock the college football world once again and beat Clemson. Because how much funnier would it be, Justin, if Florida State and Clemson were 0-4 combined?
That would be
causing so much just shit for
I
the last 12 months or last 36 months.
Yeah, I mean that would be an insane world if we actually got to that. It's a stretch. It's a stretch for sure. I want to look up the exact number on this before we move on, just because I think this would be interesting. So, like Steve said, the spread is 18, according to a certain sports book, which we will not quote because no free ads. 18, even if you're not feeling super confident in that, minus 112, take it. Take it. I think they could at least cover the spread. I think App State could walk in there and do something. But the midline on that money line is real fun for that one. So consider it. I would take it, folks. Just throw $1 at it. I mean, what does $1 get you at 800? I mean, that's probably like $10. So what's $1? You know?
Well,
Have some fun.
the odds on my certain app that I won't name have now dropped to 625. So if you put $1 down, it's only 725. So put $2 down, and we are live on the pod, locking that in. Got that bet is placed. $2. We don't unit shame on this podcast, okay, Justin? But $2 on your old Appalachian State Mountaineers. Go drink some beers and go win the game against Clemson.
Beautiful, Steve. You know what else is beautiful? The perfect merch for your fall season. That's right. We've wrapped up Viva La Cash. We're moving on to our good friends over at Charlie Hustle. These guys bring the heat every single week. They've got some awesome gear for you. We have a nice little collection of Bearcats gear now available. Make sure to head over to the site, www.charliehustle.com. Check out their collegiate section with all of the schools in the Big 12, including a handful more across different conferences, FCS, the Group of Five, the Power Five, you name it, they got it all. Some very, very nice quality threads, stuff that's very enjoyable and light for the summer, but also got some great threads for your little under layers for fall weather that Steve speaks about. That 64 degrees is coming in. You're going to need something under there. Put some Bearcats gear on. We've got a few shirts to show you here. Here's what we've got. We've got the Bearcats Cincinnati script there. Absolutely beautiful. We both have it. We wore it last week. And Steve, it's a great shirt. It's so usable. You can throw it on at any point in time. You can use it through the basketball season too. You can use it for the Reds. You can use it for pretty much any weekend outing. It's not just Bearcats specific. But on the topic of Bearcats specific, they are playing at home this week, and this would be a great time to wear that Nippert Stadium shirt. So make sure to pick that one up as well. Beautiful shirt. Love putting that beautiful stadium on display. Congratulations to 100 years of James Nippert Stadium. Fantastic. Glad we've hit that mark officially with the name. Stadium's older, but the name, 100 years this year. Very fun there. So glad to have that one. Glad to have so much other great gear from our friends over at Charlie Hustle. So if you aren't already, make sure to check out their site and use our promo code 101215 for 15% off of all non-sale items. That will be good as long as we keep giving you this ad. So without further ado, Steve, let's get into the back half of the show. Little light here, but we've got some fun stuff. Give me an overreaction, Steve. Week one overreaction.
Yeah.
The best one you can think of right now.
My favorite one. There's a couple different ones, but I'm going to keep it in the conference this week. And it was the guy on Reddit in the UCF 57 New Hampshire 3 post game thread talking about how all of UCF's transfer quarterbacks have done better at their new schools, while Gus Malzahn has decided to go for older SEC quarterbacks who apparently cannot throw the ball. So I immensely enjoyed that. I was DMing our friend Dolly Drama last night. I was like, I'd be lying if I said I didn't enjoy that. It was quite delicious. It was really good to see. Especially we tweeted the clip. He somehow threw the ball off of himself in that during that first game, missing receivers badly. Cincinnati's quarterback doubled him up of yards in the first half. Sorsby had 328 in the first half, and it took a full game for KJ Jefferson to hit 164. So, not what you want, but I did enjoy that. Like, even in a game where you won by 54 points, like you're still complaining about the quarterback's room in the selection. And you saw on Monday night what former UCF quarterback Thomas Castellanos. By the way, Justin, I keep wanting to say Castellanos, but all the college football people are saying Castellanos. So I'm kind of like, I want Tom Brenneman, whenever he calls a BC game this year, to say Castellanos, not no L's. Say it with roll your L's. Say it the way it's supposed to be said. Like you know how to say that name, Tom. We know you know. But yeah, like that was just my favorite. Justin, what about you?
I think my favorite this is a string here, but stick with me. It'd be at 321 Null, which deleted his account in the overreaction of week 1, which was to say with so much enthusiasm that it was impossible basically for Florida State to lose to Boston College, that he would rather he would offer himself to eat a pile of dog shit out of a red Solo cup. Well, the Noles lost, and we have seen the account officially deleted. So as far as overreactions go, I think that's a pretty strong one. Overreactions can go for many positives, but they can also go for negatives. And this guy seemed to be far too confident that Florida State and DJU were not actual bozos. So kudos to that guy. Hope you're hope nobody knows your personal information, because that would certainly suck.
So funny enough, you say that. I did see last night that Jack Mack had found his fiance's Instagram. And Jack Mack had been chasing this guy down. He found his LinkedIn. Like, apparently this guy took off his LinkedIn, his Facebook, his Insta, like took everything down. And he's engaged too. And like, can you imagine, Justin, as you and I are both engaged men, explaining that to your fiance, why you had to take down all of your personal social media, like while you're engaged, because you said something stupid on the internet? Like, this is why you shouldn't tweet, kids. And if you do, the tweet without your face on it, like be like a troll on Twitter.
Yeah, or you could be PMT and eat actual shit. So, there's plenty of shit eating to go around, folks. There's plenty of it there.
PFT probably had a shit eating grin on Monday night.
Steve,
you like that one, didn't you?
Yeah. Why don't we wrap up this segment with our favorite overreaction from last season that comes around full circle to this year? Steve, some words were said after the Eastern Kentucky game last year. And Steve quotes,
"Are we one of the good teams in the league this year?" And also, if you go back on our Twitter, you can search from VIVA LA CATS pod until 2023-09-05. You can look. You can see all of the things I was saying about Emory Jones, about this team. I called Scott Satterfield Saddy Daddy and the Terminator. Needless to say, I get excited about these things, Justin. So when we went 1-9 the back half of the year after that, it was not great. So I threw that tweet out there the other day, but I just want to say it on the pod too. It's week 1. Let it happen. Week 2 also, let it happen. This is why we play 14 weeks of this thing. Because, these things need time to marinate and to grow and to get better, or hopefully not for us, but some other teams get worse. So the funniest part to me, Justin, was thinking about our spaces last year after the Pitt game. And our guy Trenton came on the show after that, and he's like, man, looking at our schedule, I could see 10-2 and a Big 12 championship berth, and I don't know. I only went back to listen to that part. I didn't want to clip it because that's mean, but I will bring it up on the pod. It's just like, oh man, like we can't be doing that. Like it was, we got our butts handed to us after that point last year. But
let's leave it with this much: you can make your assessment, your official. make it what assessments you want. We're not going to tell you what to do or what not to do, but we will advise you to make your assessments about this team after the Miami game, but then also after the Houston game, the first game of the Big 12 play for Bearcats. Make your decisions then, but don't make them now, and certainly don't make them after the Pitt game, because that's a wild card. And that,
we saw what happened
last year. That game meant absolutely nothing to what was to come. And it also meant that if we were really good, then Pitt was really good. But if we were really bad, then Pitt was going to be very bad. Guess how both of those seasons ended? In a 3 and a 9. So with that said, don't overreact to week 1. Don't overreact to week 2. Maybe make some decisions off week 3. Week 4, you're safe. So
yeah, I saw somebody on our timeline talking about how the Texas Tech game was gettable now. And it's like, okay, I understand. We all watched the same game, but just we learned nothing after last year. So this is for all the Big 12 fans, by the way. I know some of y'all had rough weeks, but again, it's 1 week. Let your team fill you with joy, or you can be miserable. Either one, but that's just my thought.
Steve, we're all online. We choose misery. We choose misery
especially on X.com. We very much choose misery.
Every single time we choose misery. Speaking of misery, Steve feeling the misery from his draft already, paying dividends in week 1. We have a Big 12 head-to-head draft update for you. So we've already finished the draft. So now it's just called the head-to-head, week to week. The final score after week 1, all 16 Big 12 teams played. Myself with 8 points, Steve with 6. Take what you want from that. There's some fun stuff. There's some not so fun stuff. Steve, I have this to ask of you. How does it feel to have like the 4 teams in there that just absolutely crapped this week?
Well, Houston left me with Houston, so I kind of just got handed that.
Didn't have a choice.
Yeah, and then I willingly picked West Virginia, so that kind of was on me too. But I was thinking about this, Justin. You should have made a money line parlay with all 8 of those teams, and maybe you should do it again this week. We're kind of on the quiche right now. Maybe we just bring the good vibes this weekend and try to put all of our separate teams on a little money line wager.
He's trying to make up some ground, folks.
I'm trying, but yeah, I just don't want to eat Gold Star. And every loss this year leads me closer, and I'm already 2 games down. Justin, I know we play well. I guess during conference week we'll only get to play 4 games each per week, or however the math works out. I'm not really a math guy, but it'll be interesting to see how this goes. Texas Tech too came right down to the wire for me. TCU, I was sweating that one as well. It is a rough start, Maybe we got to put an update out there and just say how many points each team has, because I'm gonna have to talk to some of my friends. Even Justin, we even made friends with a Utah fan on Friday night. Yeah. That's how this season is going for us so far. So shout out to them. I purposely did not pick them. I think I purposely did not pick them first just because it's we can't pick Utah first. and then there's a Utah fan talking about how Luke Fickell left UC just to go be down by a field goal at halftime against Western Michigan. I was like, are we going to be friends? So that Utah fan earned the follow. Shout out to him.
If we were to do this based on score differential, Steve would also be struggling this week, as he did have the 2 losses, but also had a 7-point game with TCU, a 1-point game with Texas Tech, and a 5-point game with Colorado. Arizona put up some absolute dogs in that game. Kansas State definitely took care of business. But, I don't know. We can maybe sauce it up a little bit more with
what
this
is the point differential?
Add some fun stuff. Out of all of those games?
Oh, I thought you looked it up, but
no, the scoring differential. I'd have to do some quick maths, but I think I'd be probably blowing you out of the water. There was a couple.
Yeah, I had 2 deficits, so it's kind of yeah.
But regardless, fun start to week 1 with that. We have our last little segment here before we move on to our final segment, the Bearcat Sports Wrap-Up, as always. But with the weekly Big 12 head-to-head wrap-up, summary, not wrap-up, that's saved for the Bearcats, we will be giving out 5 total awards technically, but it's really just 4. Steve and I will pick one each, and then we will have a community-decided 3 awards to give out for the rest. So, Steve, our official ad introduction here. The Charlie Hustler of the Week. I think this has got to be pretty obvious, and we can take the same one, and I think we probably should. For sure, as a team, it's Arizona. As a player, where are we going here, Steve? Because we're voting the same. There is no questions asked.
Number 4, baby, Tetaroa McMillan. Shout out to that guy. Almost broke a Big 12 record in his first game wearing the conference patch on his jersey. 308 yards, 4 touchdowns, 10 catches, like average 30 yards a catch. Like, dude, I was watching that, and it was just electric. Like, they could not get him on the ground at all. He was unstoppable. So shout out to him. It was just a lot of fun to watch. Arizona's fun, guys. Like, I know maybe some of y'all weren't watching them last year like as much, probably because some of their games were on the Pac-12 network. But, dude, as a fiance of a Arizona alum, I got to say, they're a lot of fun to watch.
Basketball and football, they score some points.
Well, basketball, they like to lose early, but football.
They still score some points.
It's fair.
Regardless, that will be our conjoined there, Charlie Hustler of the Week. That's going to be fun to say throughout the season. Charlie Hustler of the Week. There you go. Our 3 awards for our aspirin-aholic. People who love, this is good for the cardiac cats as well. People who love to live on the edge. This week's winner, Texas Tech, baby. 1-point game against an FCS team at home in overtime.
A bunch of your former players and coaches on the other side.
Exactly. Like, this is, you could not sweat that out more. Like, this is like your JV team coming to play your varsity team and giving them a run for their money. Like, this was a close, tight game. Lots of fun. Not so much for the Red Raiders fans. Steve, who is our Bozo of the Week award going to?
I don't like to do it to our guy. I'm usually a client truster, but I got to go with our guy Irrational for saying that West Virginia will beat Penn State by at least 2 touchdowns, and then not even scoring 2 touchdowns on their own. So just not what we want to see, man. I had called out some TCU fans for saying, like, we like calling out Stanford's crowd when they were down by a touchdown at halftime. But Bozo of the Week to me is a fan award, and I think it goes to our man Irrational. So
that's fair. That's fair. As I'll throw in a team here. Houston, absolute bozos. Get yourself out of the conference if you're going to perform like that. Although Steve and I very, very much enjoyed watching UNLV beat Houston. I unfortunately decided to stack that one. Not a great idea because I gave you all that one from last week as my ride or die, we ride bet of the week, and it paid off. But I didn't get any money from that. So shouldn't have took the over, folks. Last one of the week, the most watchable game this past week. Steve, I think there were some good games in there for sure, but I think the one that had the most chaos, the most excitement, the most interest out of all of them, hate watching or just love to watch some gritty football, Colorado versus North Dakota State. That game was fun, whether you were hate watching or not. I was hate watching, of course, because I wanted Colorado to lose because I'm tired of looking at Deion Sanders and all of Colorado's hype for being a mid-team. I respect Colorado's team. I respect Colorado as a fan base. I respect everything about Colorado. You know what I don't respect? Having that team shoved down my throat. Imagine for the rest of college football if Cincinnati, in its current status, was being shoved down your throat. Nobody would want to have any of that. If everybody was like, guess what? Scott Satterfield and the Bearcats are the next big thing. Let me tell you this right now, as a very biased Bearcats fan, that is ridiculous. And Colorado should be in the exact same boat. They did not do any better than us last year. They had 4 wins. We had 3 wins. Get over it. They have a talented roster. They have some great talent. We had NFL guys too. Guess what? Nobody gives a shit. I'm tired of looking at it. I'm tired of hearing about it. I just want to watch Colorado as a Colorado team, watch the Deion Sanders story develop, but don't force feed it to me because I'm sick of it. It is so tiring every week to have that be the number one story. I don't want to hear about it. That's all I have to say. I'm getting very annoyed with that. But most watchable game of the week by far. Steve, that covers our Big 12 head-to-head. We got our Viva La Cash. We got our Pitt preview. We wrapped up Towson. We got our week 1 overreactions. We did it all. This is Steve's big send-off episode for the next few weeks until he comes back from his hiatus. Steve, I need you to close us out.
I'll come back with a ring on this finger.
He's going to come out with a big fat ring. He's going
to be crazy.
He's going to come out with the ring. You know what I'm going to wear? I'm going to wear this old guy right here, the big fat.
The conference championship ring. I like that.
Yeah.
That's nice.
Yeah.
That's nice.
Over Temple. That one really didn't age well. Steve, give us your Bearcat sports wrap up.
Bearcat sports wrap up starting in 3, 2, 1. Women's soccer, they drew 1-1 with Louisville last Thursday, and they will be hosting Butler this upcoming Thursday at Gettler Stadium. They actually won on Sunday 3-1 against Eastern Michigan. So went back to the MAC again, and I think they are now 2-1 against MAC teams this year. So shout out to the soccer team. Volleyball, they started their season this past weekend in Bowling Green, and they went 2-1 with wins over the hosts, Bowling Green and Chicago State, and unfortunately dropped their first match of the season against Illinois. So shout out to the volleyball team. They are going to another tournament this upcoming weekend. They will play IU Indy, formerly IUPUI. They will also play UAB and Bellarmine in the Bellarmine Kickoff Classic this upcoming weekend. So let's go for some dubs this weekend. Hopefully they're playing in Bellarmine's small auditorium court because that one's fun. This past weekend in cross country, freshman Patrick Kiprop was named the Big 12 men's cross country runner of the week for the Bearcats by running a 6K in 17 minutes and 23 seconds. He
6K?
won. Yes. He won the race and set the course record for the event and is the first athlete to win the weekly conference awards since our man, Justin, Tyler Worth, did it last fall. So looks like we're just a running school now. Unfortunately, Tyler Worth graduated and off doing good things now, I'm sure. But we got Patrick Kiprop, and we're going to be saying his name a lot. I feel confident in that. And then finally, men's golf will start their season by competing in the Visit Knoxville Invitational this weekend. So shout out to the golfers. Shout out to everybody who wears the red and black. We support you. We love you. Get out there, folks, and go watch those games.
Absolutely. Steve, I think that was a great send-off. This was a fun episode. I'm almost sad that we had so much fun now that we're going to have to kiss it goodbye for a few weeks. I feel like I'm saying goodbye to you. I'll see you soon, but I feel like I'm saying goodbye to you.
I know. It makes me sad. But
it's like his final episode, but it comes back in season 2.
Yeah. They could write me back in the script. You never know.
Yeah. It's a cliffhanger. Who knows?
Yep.
Who knows?
I just like have a heart attack and just like, just go off screen somehow. And everybody's like, the hell just happened?
Steve, I don't know if the fine lady would agree with this, but I think you have to bring a Bearcats flag or something with you to the great beyond, out, east, west, whatever hemisphere that is, and show the love while you're gone. Bearcats overseas.
I think I could do that. As long as it's not purple, I think she's fine with it.
Yeah. Fair enough. I also would agree with that, as long as it's not purple. Steve, thank you, as always, for joining me. We will see you back at the end of October. Lots and lots is going to happen in between then. Steve will still be around in some facets, but will not be a part of the show until then. So, without further ado, thank you for listening this week. If you aren't already, make sure to follow us on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, wherever you get your podcast. Make sure to subscribe to us on YouTube to check out all our videos, as well as our weekly sims. Our weekly super sims are back. This past week was great. It hit the total for the Bearcats on the nose. I think it was a fantastic simulation. Granted, game-winning kick, terrifying, but was very, very interesting, very fun. Going to be excited to see how this week's turn out because I think it's nice and I think it's fun for people to see it. Nice little TikTok to wrap it all up in a quick 2 minutes if you don't watch it before game day. So that will be the release schedule for there. So thank you again for joining us. And as always, we are part of the 1012 Network. And thank you to our sponsors, Charlie Hustle. Steve, I'll see you in a couple weeks, buddy. I'll see you at that wedding.
Sounds good, baby.
He's going to tie the knot. Steve is going to finally tie the knot.
Yes, sir. You're coming up too. You're coming soon.
We're getting there. We're getting there. All right, buddy. Well, take it easy, folks. And as always, remember, Viva
la Cats.